All right, y'all. We're going to be starting a series on insurance where we talk about all sorts of topics related to insurance claims, and you guys hopefully we'll answer some questions for you guys. Each series kind of has a topic that we're going to focus on, and today's topic is insurance myths.
I'm Kyle Huff. This is Joshua Veach. Let's get started.
All right.
So the first question today, Josh has got for you on his tablet here.
Yeah, so these are questions that we commonly get from our customers. Some kind of craziness that we hear from insurance providers, from adjusters, from all sorts of folks. And so we just wanted to share some of these things and talk about whether they're legitimate or whether they're a myth.
Absolutely.
All right. So the first question that we get a lot is, insurance will pay for my roof if it's old. What do you think about that?
Man, it would be super cool if they did. That's just
Yeah?
it's just not the case,
No.
right? Your roof being old is not a reason for it to be replaced by insurance itself, right? So what does insurance do? Insurance covers any events that could cause your roof to age prematurely. Hail, wind, tree falls on it, lightning strikes it. All these things are covered by insurance. Fire, right? But just your roof being 20 years old and just needing to be replaced, insurance is not going to cover that.
So where do you think that comes from, the myth? What perpetuates
it comes from
that?
like these, you talk to your coworkers, you talk to your dad, you talk to people around you, like, hey, insurance covered my roof, insurance covered their roof. So everybody gets their roof replaced through insurance, especially in our area where we're prone to hurricanes and windstorms, and we get some pretty heavy storms here. A lot of people have had their roofs replaced by insurance, and so when other people hear about that, they expect the same, right? When the understanding is that if your roof needs to be replaced, the insurance should replace it. That's just not the case. There has to be a coverable event.
Yeah, we do a lot of comparisons between vehicles and roofs.
Absolutely.
And it's like saying that the insurance is going to replace your vehicle when your vehicle gets old, and that's just not the case.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
I mean, it's an apt
representation.
representation.
All right. So the second myth that we hear a lot, or that I have a lot of customers ask me questions about, is, do I have to pay my deductible, or can you help me with my deductible?
No, I mean that's just, it is what it is, right? It's not only unethical, but it's illegal, right? So a big part of this came from years back. People were doing that left and right, and a big reason for that is because, well, one, deductibles cost much less than what they do today, right? Some of them were based upon like just a flat number and not a percentage of the value of your house. And then on top of that, it was only illegal for the homeowner to do it, right? So the contractors couldn't get in trouble for it. So the contractors were okay with doing that.
Yeah, they were doing things like, hey, we'll give you maybe we'll pay you in the form of a rebate if we put your sign in front of your house, or if you give us referrals, we'll pay you a fee for those referrals. And they would oftentimes give those back to the customer in the form of a rebate.
Absolutely.
And what those really constitute now is fraud, right? And so there's actually the code that is Texas law. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read it really quick.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Texas law requires a person insured under a property insurance policy to pay any deductible applicable to a claim made under that policy. It is a violation of Texas law for a seller of goods, that's us, or services, who responsibly expects to be paid wholly or partly from the proceeds of a property insurance claim, so that covers repairs or replacement, to knowingly allow the insured person to fail to pay, or, and this is important because this is where that other part comes in, assist the insured person's failure to pay the applicable insurance deductible. So it spells it out very clearly. It can't happen. Doing so violates state law and can be considered insurance fraud, and that's a big deal.
Yes, and if you have somebody that is offering that to you, if this is where they're willing to cut the corners at, where else are they going to cut the corners at, right? And not only that, but the deductibles nowadays are so high that if you're taking $5,000 to $10,000 off of a cost of a roof, like where are they making that money up at?
Yeah, they're making it up somewhere for sure.
It's
good.
Buyer beware.
Yeah. So the next question that we actually have is getting multiple roof estimates to send to your insurance company is good or required. I actually hear some insurance companies tell the insured, hey, go out and get these bids.
Yes. So I do want to say that you should talk to multiple roofing companies.
Yeah.
Right. Like off the bat, you want to choose somebody that you trust. You want to choose somebody that you're comfortable with. That you think is gonna do the highest quality job possible.
Yeah.
Right. Sending the bid to the insurance company is not something that you should do, though. Right. What they're wanting is or what I think they're wanting, right, in my opinion, is that they're wanting to take those 3 bids, look at them, and give you the cheapest price, right?
Yeah, what I see is, so insurance typically pays full retail price for any kind of insurance claim. So for replacement, they're paying what they they have their own calculations.
Yes.
They're based on the material costs, labor costs, overhead and profit, all the things that a company needs to operate, right?
Yes.
And they determine what that payment should be. And that is different than a competitive retail bid.
Yes.
And they know that. And so what they end up doing is pinning roofing companies against each other to do whatever they can to cut the cost so they can win the bid, get that insurance claim. And all it really hurts is the homeowner.
Absolutely.
Because in the end, the homeowner pays their deductible regardless of how much the insurance company pays.
Yes.
And I would rather hire a higher quality roofing company that's going to consume that entire amount than find somebody with a lower bid, give that to them, and then the insurance company gets to save some money. Ultimately, you're paying the same amount for a roof that's probably not as good.
Yeah, it has a possibility of being inferior, right? Most likely, right? If you're doing the cash bid.
Absolutely.
In that way.
All right, so our next myth that we're going to talk about is my roof is too old, insurance won't replace it. What do you think about that?
It's not true, right? I mean, like it does sound fairly logical, right? But at the end of the day, it's just plainly not true. In fact, sometimes it is easier to get an older roof replaced instead of a newer roof due to the fact that they're more brittle, they can't be repaired as easily.
Actually, a lot of insurance companies have a non-repairability clause. So
Right.
basically stating that if for some reason your roof becomes damaged and the roof cannot be repaired legitimately or cannot easily be repaired, then they'll replace the whole roof as a part of that.
Right.
And so we get a lot of jobs where we go, we do the inspection,
Yep.
we find some damage, the insurance company comes out, they find the same damage, they say, hey, we don't think this can actually be repaired because the roof's too old, and they replace the whole roof. So
Right.
The fact that people believe that or see that or say that, it's just simply not what we see. It's not,
Yeah.
We don't see that to be true in the market. I've actually had somebody on Facebook telling people that, hey, your roof's older than 12 years old, your insurance company is not going to replace it. And that's just simply not what we find to be true.
I wonder where that comes from, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder where that's.
I'm not sure. And in fact, we find that if it's too new, like let's say a roof is 15 years or newer, that it's just...
It doesn't show damage as well because it's more pliable.
Yeah, and
Right.
a lot of times those are the roofs that they want to try and repair. They say that anything less than 15 years old is repairable.
Right.
Whereas a roof older than 15 years, they typically say is non-repairable.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be replaced.
Okay. So myth busted on that. All right, the next one that we have is my insurance provider will increase my rate if I file a claim. What do you think about that?
Not true, right? There are issues with filing a claim that could come up, but having your rate increased is not only not true, but it is actually against the law, right? At least in Texas, right? Per code, they have to go up the entire zip code.
Yeah, so I actually found it on the TDI website. So the Texas Department of Insurance has on their website. You guys can go check this out for yourself, tdi.texas.gov. and it literally states that premiums cannot be increased for these 3 reasons. Okay, the first one is if a claim is filed where the claim was denied or the insurance company didn't pay anything, there's no payout, there's no award. They cannot raise your rate just for filing the claim.
Right.
The second one is calling or talking to your agent about a policy or a claims or the claims process. And we hear a lot of customers, they're worried that, hey, if I call and I talk to my adjuster, is that going to throw up a red flag to my insurance company that something's wrong? And my next bill or my next renewal, my insurance is going to increase.
Right.
And that's actually against Texas law.
Absolutely.
And then the last one is claims for damages resulting from natural causes, including weather. And they specifically include weather on that site,
right.
saying this is not a reason why your insurance rate can increase if you file a claim for these reasons. So
right.
by law, you're protected. Now, we do know that insurance rates have increased exponentially, and they do that by increasing the whole area, the whole zip code.
Yes.
But there is some checks and balances in place for that. However, we wish there was more because insurance rates, as we can see, have just skyrocketed exponentially, in some cases over doubled. But by Texas law, you are protected from that.
So we can go over some of the issues that could arise if you do file a claim, especially if it's unwarranted issues. So if you are filing a claim and there's not a ton of damage on there, but your roof is old, the insurance could put you into non-coverage. Right?
Yeah, and what I recommend to folks is, our company, we don't go to somebody's house and do an inspection and say, hey, we think there's damage on your roof, get it replaced, unless we see legitimate storm damage. However, there are a lot of companies that are out there, these storm chasing companies, that's their business model, is they just knock doors. You guys have probably had them at your house telling you that you have damage on your home. They haven't even looked at your roof yet.
Yes.
Just so they can get their foot in the door and say, hey, let's file a claim. Those roofing companies are not typically filing legitimate insurance claims. In some cases, we find that some local companies are actually creating damage.
Yes.
Which then becomes vandalism, not wind-related or storm-related damage, and that can be an issue.
Yes.
So it goes down to being careful about who you allow to get on your roof. Who you have
do you trust them? Are they going to put on a high-quality roof? Check the reviews, all those things.
Agreed.
Right.
Yep. Okay, so the next one that I have is my insurance provider has my best interest in mind, and my only response to that is this, and you can elaborate, is just look at deductibles and premiums right now.
Right. You got to understand these companies are for profit, right? They aren't out there doing this out of the goodness of their heart.
Sure.
Right. They're out there to make money. So what is an easy way to make money? It's denying the claims. Right. Not saying that they're not going to do their job, they're not going to take care of you, or that they're just out there trying to rake in the cash without doing their jobs, but you got to understand it's still a company, right?
Yeah. I see insurance companies, we know because we struggle sometimes to get legitimate claims covered by insurance.
Yes.
So we see it. We know, we get up there, we say, hey, look, we've had claims that are at least this bad before. They've been covered by insurance because they're legitimate.
Right.
We believe they're legitimate because we know what that looks like.
Yes.
And so usually we talk to our clients about that. Like, hey, we think there's enough damage for this, or we think, in some cases we say, hey, we don't think there's enough. You're kind of putting yourself at risk by filing a claim, and that you're going to get denied, and it could kick off this whole process.
Could lead to issues in the future.
So we try to be as forward about that as possible. Let the client decide. Give you some information so that you make an informed decision.
Right.
And but I do like the fact that you look at deductibles have increased, and the coverage has decreased in that, right? So they're paying more for their coverage. They're paying more for their premiums.
Yes.
Their insurance is actually covering less.
There are times where we go to roofs, and it happens, a few times a year, where the deductible is actually worth more than the roof is.
Yeah.
Right. So essentially, they're not covered whatsoever. You have 5% deductible. You have a $400,000 house, which is not uncommon, and you have this roof that's on a 2-story house, generally smaller than 1-story houses, and you'll see that the value of the roof is just lower than a deductible. So the insurance company doesn't have to pay out anything if there's any damage.
Yeah.
You know?
My caveat to that would be that there's a separation, a delineation between the insurance company when you're dealing with a claim and your agent or your broker, whoever's providing the insurance.
Absolutely.
We want to make a delineation between that,
Yes.
because the person who you're calling and talking to about getting your insurance policy stated, shopping around, that person's helping you. They're trying to find you the best insurance for your budget, those kinds of things. These people are in no way related to the insurance claims process. Right. They're just there helping you. They're just showing you what the insurance companies are providing, what kind of coverage they're providing for this price. They're completely separated, almost like a sales department.
Yes.
And that's not really who we're including.
I see this a lot, especially whenever people are filing claims. They're like, well, man, am I going to hurt Joe down the street that I know our kids play baseball together. We go to church together. I don't want to hurt him by filing a claim. Understand that he owns his franchise, but you're still being insured by the larger company in general, right? And he has very little to do with the claims process overall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and the last one that I have is the roofing company I hired got my claim approved. What do you think about that?
Myth. So in Texas, you cannot be the adjuster or the inspector and the roofer at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You can't play both roles. So what can a roofing company do in Texas to help get a claim approved, right? We can advise. Yeah. That's just about it, right? You can't call, you can't make any determinations, but you can tell the homeowner, hey, you do have damage. We think you have damage. You should call. Here's the number to call. Here's the date of the last storm, things of that nature. But actually going up there, telling the adjuster, like, hey, this is damage, that's not damage, it's not really going to do a whole lot, right? You can ask them questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? But to call yourselves an insurance claims expert, we'll get it approved, is, I feel like it's misleading.
Yeah, we see that a lot. It's trucks that are wrapped that say claims experts or storm experts or we'll get your insurance claim approved. And there's only two people that are licensed or legally able to adjust a claim. That's your licensed adjuster or an attorney. Those are the only two people that can do it. So right. The roofing company, all we can really do is, like you said, just talk you through the process, help you with some of the jargon,
right.
Explain to you what your options are, because really that's what it comes down to. Most of the time I find that I'll take pictures and I'll do my own documentation. I'll have my own reports. I'll have my own recommendations, my own opinion about what I see on the roof. And then I'm willing to share that with an adjuster. And I've yet to this date ever had an adjuster say, hey, yeah, go ahead and send me all that stuff, right? Yeah. They don't want any of that. They're going to make their own assessment. They're going to take their own pictures. In fact, a lot of times insurance companies prohibit the adjuster, if they send out a field adjuster from taking that information from us.
Yes.
They want their adjuster to do their own assessment, provide their own information, provide their own reports.
Yes.
And so, I've heard of roofing companies that come out and say, well, I took 700 photos and we sent all those to the insurance company. You may have taken 700 photos and you may have sent them to the insurance company, but I can guarantee you that none of that had any leaning on whether or not that roof was going to get approved.
Right.
Or not. It really comes down to selecting a good contractor that you can trust, that will provide a good product in the end. And then there are some things that you can do if the insurance claim becomes stalled or you get denied. And we're going to talk about those in this series. We're actually going to be talking about a lot of stuff that's insurance related, and we're going to get into the insurance process in itself. But this is just these are the myths that we hear. These are the things that we see people putting out on social media, that we see insurance companies say, we see other roofing companies say, and they're simply not true.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. We thought it was important that we talked about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys tuning into this video and watching this video. Hopefully you got some value out of this video. We're going to continue to make videos in this series. So if you guys want to see any of those, please like it. Subscribe to our channel, and you'll get more content like this.
Yes. If you have any questions or comments, comment down below.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll answer all the comments that we get. We really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.